See, I knew that the girl that, the other ghost was talking to was was Bohm's best friend. And it's in fact was revealed in the beginning of episode 9. So if disclaimer, quick disclaimer, if you haven't seen the episode yet, definitely go watch it and then come back and join me for this review.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another review on the Review Garden.
Yeah, so he had her picture, but when he hit the um the little circle of the picture, Bohm's face showed up, but the picture she used was of the two of them. And then that's when he realized, that it was actually the friend who he was talking to. And she did say, don't even mention blind dates to me because she's traumatized by the guy who ghosted her. And it's funny that they use that term ghosted because he actually did become a ghost that night. So that's funny. And it's also funny that the thing that's going on between them. Now he realizes that their best friend, he's going to have to decide whether, well, obviously it's not his secret to tell. He just needs to figure out how to keep his mouth shut until the girl tells Bohm, about her, um, the whole reason she was traveling the past year, right? And then the beginning of this episode too, it showed you where they left off with Detective Beck and his wife. So his wife was indeed cheating on him, but she was cheating on him with the flower shop owner. Apparently she was taking classes there, and then she fell in love with the shop owner. And he is pissed off, which he should be pissed off, you know and you, and it's crazy because he finds this out when he dies, like as a ghost. Like that has to be hard because Kiju's telling him, like, you need to figure out what it is you want to do, because if you keep resenting, if you choose to resent the world, then you're gonna turn into an evil spirit. So, you know, I can help you. I can, get some ghosts to come possess him and make his life miserable, just so that your spirit doesn't become bad and you can never leave, right? So you could tell that Kiju's a really good friend to them. Uh, and and speaking of Kiju, like, he also um they started showing you, like, he shared a kiss with her, and they started, like, just being closer, right? So, like, 24 minutes in, and she's trying to ask her friend, like, hey, what does it mean if a guy answers in one word? But I feel like she has to take it slow with him because he's never been he's never been on a date, he's never had a girlfriend, he's never done anything because he's been so focused on the Midnight Studio. So and and like, you can't fault him because even before the kiss, he wasn't giving her like long answers, right? So now that he's giving her like these 3-word answers or 1-word answers, okay, you know like, you can't fault him. You just got to tell him, like, hey, this is what you have to do, this is what you need to do, because he doesn't know anything, right? So Detective Beck came back, after a few days. Well, I guess it after a couple of days, right? So while he was gone though, Kiju and Bohm went on a date. They went camping, and this man has never driven a car before, and he was just a trip that was supposed to take them 2 hours ended up taking them 5 hours, and he ran out of gas, um, which is the only reason why they stopped, and they stopped by the beach. And then there, she kind of told him that when she was 12, she was in a coma for 2 months, and yeah, and she got in a car accident and her parents died. And then during that same time, he's remembering like the first ghost that that came. So, that's when the next day he was like, when he like saw her and called out the name of the ghost, and she was like, "Wait, that was my nickname when I was young. How did you know that?" And then he like gave her a hug and was like, "You were alive." So I guess since she was in a coma, she was able to travel to that realm. So he was able to see her as a ghost, which is understandable because it's the same thing that happened in Doctor. Even though they were ghosts, but their bodies were in a coma. So that's exactly what happened to her. She was in a coma after the accident, but was able to come to his studio and do wreckage. So when um when her body woke up, obviously she disappeared and left him. And that's why, he was like, "Oh, I thought you were dead." So, they had this moment, and he told her exactly what happened, and he saw her scar. Also, while they were um, camping, the evil spirit came, and it was the deputy that was by himself in the studio. So like the evil spirit like scared him so much, because he was asking for the camera and whatnot. So like he caused a big mess, and then the deputy ran into the studio. Luckily, the evil spirit couldn't get through to the studio, so he was able to make it, but he's still shaken up and whatnot. So like that's when everybody came back. They started cleaning the studio, um, and then and then there was a new visitor. The new visitor, they showed you the image of him being released from prison, and then while he's at home, someone comes and strangled him to death. And then when he comes into the studio as a ghost, they he's talking about 2019, and they're like, "Hold up, it's 2023." And then he says his name, and it's the person from 3 years ago that Bohm got in trouble for, right? So he freaks out and he's like so angry, right? So he like shake things up in the studio, and then he runs away trying to go find Bohm. But so Kiju and the detective ran after him, and they split up to go find him. Now, and meanwhile, Bohm went to go pick up the photo that she took of um of Kiju in the beginning of the episode. And she brought it back to the studio to hang up. And that's when the deputy saw it and was like, "No, don't hang it up. It's a funeral photo. Everybody, you know whose photo is up on this wall, their they took their photo right before their 31st birthday because they die when they're 35. And I think he's running out of time, which is why the guy, the Grim Reaper, is looking for the camera, right? So obviously she didn't find out from him. She didn't find out from Kiju. She found out from the deputy that um he's gonna die in a couple of days, which I find weird because he didn't want Kiju to spill the beans to the other girl, but yet he's spilling Kiju's beans um what's her name, to Boom, right? So I wonder now, because that's how episode 9 ended. Episode 9 ended with Boom asking Kiju if he's gonna die. So I wonder what he's going to say, if he's gonna be honest with her or if he's going to lie to her. I mean, you're running out of time, so you might as well just tell her the truth, you know? In a way, though, you have to understand both sides. I mean, with him not telling her this was his first experience, his first time, being in a relationship, and he's about to die. So I guess, from his point of view, he got to enjoy that, and it's not like it's his fault that he's dying or whatever. It's just a curse that's been on his family for the longest time. And then from her point of view, it's like he should have told her, because and I said that in the beginning too. Well, not the beginning, but I think the last review, when she was like, promise me that there's gonna be more tomorrow. And I'm like, why would you make that promise when you know for a fact that you're going to die soon, right? So making that promise to her and then not telling her, and then her finding out from someone else, all those things, like, they can add up. And she just lost her grandma, she's about to lose her boyfriend, and then if her best friend goes back into, because she still doesn't know that her best friend was diagnosed with cancer a year ago. The doctors are telling her that it shrunk, but anything can happen. So, like, that's like three people next to her that she could lose within like months of each other. So, like, that's a lot for someone to take, you know? And she's seeing dead people after he's gone. Like, I'm like, is she gonna still be able to see dead people? Like, she's gonna be on her own with this whole thing, right? So, and another thing, at the end of episode 9, that was the first time I saw an epilogue. Um, but the epilogue was weird. So they showed you his uncle in the netherworld. So that means the uncle did pass away. So he's not, quote, missing, right? Something happened to him. And I also want to note, like, the beginning of the way they title each episode is really cool. And they, each episode is like, so this is episode 10, the 10th shot. And that's 36. So I wonder what that's going to be about. So for the majority of episode 10, they're trying to figure out what happened to that guy, right? 3 years ago. He, you know, they thought that he committed suicide after she and she was the prosecutor at the time. Um, After she let him go, and the only reason they let him go is because she let him go is because he pleaded with her to go to his sister's wedding, right? So that's why the following day after being caught, he was released, and then when he was home, someone murdered him. And the whole thing started because he used to have a record. He promised his sister he would get out of, um, you know, he wouldn't go back to doing what he was doing. He was going to stay clean. But then the bills kept racking up with his sister's wedding. The the groom's family, wanted a lot from her family. So he was like talking to his friends about it, and his friends were like, "Oh, we have one final score, and the person who's going to be helping us, they owe us from when we were young, right?" So he was just supposed to be the getaway driver. But I guess since they were taking too long in the house that they were going to rob, um, he went inside, and then that's when he saw that his two friends were dead. And then you know, his prints were on the murder weapon, blah, blah, blah. So that's why they arrested him. But, you know, Bohm believed in him. Well, she didn't trust him. She said, "I don't trust you. But I think what you said is right, that I should not put an innocent person behind bars," right? So so that's pretty much what happened. So they're investigating, Bohm and Kiju are investigating the whole thing. They go to the house where it happened, and they figured out that there was another exit that someone can come in and get out of the house. And that exit did not have CCTV. The ones in the front, where the two of them were, the three of them went into the house, had CCTVs. So now they're investigating further, and they realize that the head prosecutor, her boss who fired her, um, you know, he had a lot to do with it too. And there were two other people who were involved in the sentencing, that one retired and one went to go work for a a law firm. But even though the one who retired, he still did some contract work for that same law firm. So this is what they found out. Then she went to go see her ex-boss, and he pretty much said, "If I tell you that he's the culprit, then he's the culprit." So that means, like, they were all in on it, into making him be the fall guy, which he was the perfect fall guy, making him be the fall guy, and pretty much firing her. And the reason why they had to kill him, because that's what he told her. He was like, "You're the reason that he died," right? And this whole time she was thinking, like, he was saying, "Oh, because he committed suicide." But no, it was because she let him go. That's why he had to get someone to pretty much quiet him down, and be and still be the person responsible for the killing of the other two people. But my thing is, how come it took him 3 years to get through to the studio? I mean, granted, they weren't friends then, 3 years ago, right? They were just friends like a month or a month and a half ago. So if he did make his way 3 years ago, it could have been a possibility that they would have met sooner, and they could have, have their whole love thing sooner, because he would have had to go investigate the case, and he would have ran into her and all that stuff. So that was my thing. Like, it still wasn't explained how it took 3 years for the guy to come through. And there are instances where he is turning into an evil spirit because of everything, like he's finding out when he found out what his so when he committed to when he was killed, the guy who was supposed to marry his sister didn't want to marry her anymore, and he pretty much like shamed her. And I'm like, what the hell? He shamed her, and then 3 years later he invites her to his wedding. I'm like, what is wrong with you? He just wanted to like put it in her face that, oh, he's getting married to quote someone better. I'm like, dude, you are a loser. Okay. um yeah, so I think it's interesting that, so the case wasn't finished in episode 10, so they're gonna continue it on into episode 11. So we'll see, you know, what happens now. And Detective Beck just keeps finding more things, you know. His wife is moving out of that apartment, and the guy just won't leave her alone. The guy wants to, take over. Oh, I'm much better than your husband. I'm never gonna leave you. Da, da, da. I'm never gonna. So, I don't know. And I really hope that he doesn't turn into an evil spirit. But every time he like woosah, and then he goes back to see his wife, then he just gets all mad again. And I'm like, he's gonna need to figure out something to help him move on, because I'm pretty sure by the end of this series those two ghosts are gonna move on with their lives, unless they're gonna stay behind and just be his helper. If somehow miraculously he's still alive by the end of this series. So we'll see.
And this wraps up our journey on the Review Garden. Thank you for joining me today as we explored this drama. If you enjoyed this reaction and review, please remember to subscribe for more insightful videos. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback helps our channel grow. As always, I'm truly grateful for your support and for joining me on this journey on the Review Garden. Until next time, and happy listening. Bye.